afternoon, everyone. My name is Murat. You pronunciate my surname perfectly, Josh. Thanks a lot. It is the most difficult part. And I am an assistant professor of sustainable business at the Daniels College of Business. And I am teaching sustainable business related topics in the business school. And today, I would like to talk about the future of consumption and the sustainable consumption. But I can say it is quite unpredictable how the consumption will be in the future. But I would like to present what is happening today. And I would like to emphasize the humanity's unsustainable consumption. I will talk about some technologies. And in the end, I would like to give you some ideas about the challenges and the future, past, present, and the future of consumption. I would like to start with this, statement: the humanity's unsustainable consumption. Why do we have unsustainable consumption? We need to really understand the past trend to talk about the future. And this is a figure coming from the Global Footprint Network, and which presents different countries in this bubble diagram. And in the y-axis, we have the total resource consumption. We call it total ecological footprint. And on the x-axis, we have human development index. It's quite interesting. We have some countries here, they have quite high human development index. That means they have high longevity, access to education and income. But at the same time, their ecological footprint per capita is above the limit. And we see some countries located in this region, and these countries, they have very low human development index, but their ecological footprint per capita is less than the limit. So we might see two different clusters in this diagram: countries enjoying the consumption with high human development, and there are some countries, they have poor conditions. They are not consuming a lot, but in the same time, their ecological footprint is really, really low. This is another interesting diagram coming from Global Footprint Network, is showing the current ecological deficit. It is a global figure. And we have here two important metrics, like ecological footprint versus the biocapacity. The ecological footprint is related to our consumption, and the biocapacity is what we have. And starting from 1971, you can see that we start having an increasing ecological deficit. So that means we are consuming more than what we can generate and what Earth can generate. And if a region biocapacity exceeds its ecological footprint, it has a biocapacity reserve. But when we look at this figure, we can see that starting from 1971, we start seeing an increasing ecological deficit in the Earth. And finally, this is another important diagram, is also presenting the world GDP per capita. As you can see, we have an increasing GDP. We have an increasing consumption. We have an increasing production. But in the same time, world biocapacity per capita is decreasing. So that means resources are becoming less abundant, but in the same time, we have a growing GDP per capita. So these are some of the interesting figures can present the current condition related to our consumption. And of course, The technology plays a very critical role, and they shape the future of consumption. And like few examples, the Amazon's like cashierless checkout system at its grocery stores. People are talking about a new way of retail stores. Simply, they will come and they will pick the products and they will leave the store without a cashier. And you might see this vehicle in the streets, like the Uber and Lyft. They partner with different autonomous vehicle companies, and they are trying to expand the driverless, experience for their customers. And augmented reality is another interesting and important technology, and it enables the consumers try garments, shoes, and it creates a personalized and engaging experience for them. And this is another consumption category, which is transportation. And the Volvo car, for example, they are integrating and testing a new wireless charging technology in a live city environment. We have 3D printing technologies, and this is an NSF funded project, US National Science Foundation, and they are talking about the 3D printing food, and they are trying to print the novel foods using a 3D printer. And this is another important consumption category, which is the construction sector. And this is a 3D printing company. Icon produced a 250 square foot tiny home that cost $10,000 and took just 48 hours to build. So technology will continue to shape the future of consumption, but in the same time, it will have some rebound effects. It might also catalyze the consumption, as these products might be cheaper for the consumers, and it might have some side effects. I would like to also talk about some important factors that can influence the future of consumption. I think the number one factors will be the sustainability and ethics. And first of all, the eco-conscious choices are increasingly becoming important, and also the consumers are increasingly prioritize the eco-conscious choices, and the circular economy is another interesting, a factor and a driver for today's consumption. And there is a shift towards the circular economy where the products are designed for reuse, repair, and recycling. And the companies are also, they need to, adopt the circularity, strategies for, satisfying their customers' needs related to circularity. And finally, the experience over ownership, and it is a part of a sharing economy. And there is a shift from owning products to valuing experiences, especially for the young generations. And this is one interesting example from an IKEA company, and they have a product as service strategy. And in this project, they call it a furniture as a service. And IKEA is engaged with a furniture leasing project. And this sample project is coming from world's tallest green building, Taipei 101. And in this business model, IKEA makes a lease with this, the company. And at the end of the lease, IKEA will take back all the furniture, refurbish it, and resell it. So this is a very emerging way of consuming, and it's called as a product as service rather than ownership. And of course, the digital transformation is very critical. And after sustainability related factors, we can say that the digital transformation will play a significant role for the future of consumption. We know that e-commerce and omni-channel retail and online shopping and the personalization and the blockchain technologies, they will greatly shape the consumption. And especially nowadays, we are talking about the generative AI and artificial intelligence and the machine learning technologies. And it will also give a lot of options for the consumers for having a personalized choices, and the consumers receive a tailored recommendations based on their preferences and behaviors, so that the technology, the data, and particularly the AI will give the consumers more options to choose the consumption. And challenges are always there, and we talk about technology, but there are significant challenges also related to the future of consumption. The first, we are talking about the technological disruption. I think this is one of the most important challenges, and especially we are talking about automation and AI, and this rise of automation and AI could lead to significant job displacements in the world. And of course, this will have a significant also impact on the purchasing power of the people. And the e-commerce is significantly growing, and there is a shift to online shopping, and it is transforming the retail sector, and also it is increasing the consumption of the people. Resource scarcity and sustainability, I think we need to really understand the issues related to resource depletion and the climate change. This is a figure coming from European Commission and showing the most critical metals and the minerals and their availability. And you can see that most of the metals, the minerals are located in Russia, China, in the United States. And these rare metals and minerals are heavily consumed by the emerging technologies that are shaping, our consumption patterns. So these dependencies will continue to be challenging for the consumers and also producers. Fragility of the global supply chains, I think this is also very critical, and especially events like COVID-19 and geopolitical conflicts have exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, and it is highlighted the need for the necessity for the resilient and adaptable system. This is just one figure showing the route of grain transportation. And I am living in this city. This is Istanbul, and before the war, the grains were mainly coming from Ukraine, from the Odessa port, and we were just bringing them to Istanbul. Then we were distributing these grains to African countries and as well as Europe. But today, we don't have this grain agreement anymore, and particularly for this case, the Ukrainian grains are not distributed other parts of the world. This is a critical and important case because it is clearly showing that the fragility of the global supply chains will be more and more severe, and our growing consumption will be definitely impacted from this type of crisis. And finally, the global inequality will be another challenging factor for our future consumption. And here, differences in consumption levels between developed and developed countries can simply amplify the global inequality. As I presented in my first slide, we saw two clusters: the countries with high economic welfare and high ecological footprint and resource consumption versus countries with poor conditions and less consumption. And global inequalities will be quite important because some vulnerable communities will be heavily impacted from the climate change and water-related shortages. And the global consumption is a global phenomena, and it will have more and more impact on the developing nations. And this is a picture I just take it from World Economic Forum and representing and showing the water scarcity and is talking about the water refugees, climate-induced, refugees, immigrants will be quite critical, and it will be an important challenge for the future. I would like to summarize my presentation with this slide. I think we need to really think out of the box in terms of innovation and technology, and we need to really understand the socioeconomic, environmental, and ethical consequences of emerging technologies. And here, in one side, we can talk about responsible consumption. The consumers will continue to value, let's say, sustainable products, and it will also catalyze ethical production. It will create less, let's say, waste, and then people need to have also mindful use of the products and services. But in the same time, we have an innovation. So innovation will also play a catalyzer role for having a responsible consumption and responsible innovation. And what is a responsible innovation? We are talking about autonomous vehicles. We are talking about artificial intelligence, generative AI. And the question is, how responsible these technologies? And the ethical considerations will play a critical role. Environmental sustainability will be another, determinant, especially all these technologies will continue to harm the environmental system, and they will have a significant ecological footprint. And inclusivity will be another important dimension of the responsible innovation, particularly these technologies, these innovations should be accessible and usable by as many as people, regardless of their gender, race, color, religion, and ethnicity. And finally, the long-term thinking will be very critical for the responsible innovation. It is because the responsible innovation might have positive effects in the long run. So that we are talking about technology, we are talking about innovation, we are talking about autonomous cars, we are talking about, let's say, 3D printed, houses and the buildings. But the question is how these technologies will have an impact in the long run. And we need to really understand the, let's say, the side effects. And that is why the systemic approach and systemic thinking will be very important component of the responsible innovation. Thank you very much.